Sign when the TV behind you, you're live. You're live.
Well, good evening to the town of Plaistow and public access television here. This is a brief meeting and symposium for public service for the Covid-19 virus and its effects on the town that's happening all around us now. My name is Aaron Goodrow. I'm the pastor at the First Baptist Church of Plaistow, just down the road here. With us this evening are town manager Mark Pearson and fire chief Chris Knutson and police chief Douglas Mullen. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here to answer some questions that the town may have, to give us some reassurance that the town is in good hands this evening. Thank you to Dean Zanello, our cable coordinator, and on Plaistow Public Access channels. Just a brief agenda for us tonight so that we all know where we're headed. First, if we can review the emergency and the steps the town has taken so far. Second, if we can talk about the modified procedures that the town hall itself is under and situated through. Three, some questions and some answers for you all. Fourth, we'll have a presentation for some public safety issues and other things about the state and tracking the virus as well. Thanks for joining us tonight. So I guess the first thing here would be to our town manager, Mark Pearson, to talk about the emergency in review.
Thank you, Pastor Aaron. So just a recap of where we are. On March 13th, the state of New Hampshire declared an emergency, and that was declared by the governor, Governor Sununu. And on March 16th, the governor, by executive order, an emergency order, closed the schools in the state of New Hampshire. On the same day, March 16th, he closed the restaurants and allowed for takeout only. The following day, March 17th, by executive order and emergency order, the governor issued a 6-month duration for electric, gas, water, telephone, cable, voice over internet, and deliverable fuels not to be shut off. Following that, there was another emergency order. Landlords not able to evict and banks not to foreclose. Following that, there was an unemployment benefits executive order, an emergency order that was streamlining the ability for people that were out of work to apply for unemployment benefits. And then the school issue of the kids being out of school, there was another executive order, and it was about educational remote learning for students in the state of New Hampshire. Following that, on March 18th, there was an order for allowing for telehealth services to the public and healthcare providers to allow video, audio for healthcare providers. And on March 23rd, there was a modification to RSA 91A for meetings by phone, video, and other means to allow public bodies to deal with their duties and have meetings by means that are a little bit different than what went on before. Such as the spacing that you see here tonight, where we're keeping our personal spacing, at least 6 feet away. I think we're more in the order of 10 feet away. And then that was followed by another executive order allowing mail order prescriptions from out-of-state businesses. And finally, March 23rd, there was a executive order, emergency order to prohibit gatherings of 10 or more people. So there's a recap of 16 executive orders and emergency orders declared in a state of emergency by the governor over the last 10 days. So that brings us in a very quick, fashion, from the first day that it was declared to where we are on the 23rd. So just briefly, the town has taken a lot of steps during this time and prepared for everything that we can, everything we know about. On our website, and Plaistow.com, there was a, on March 17th, there was a public relations message to the public that can be accessed on our website, on that red banner that's on our website. And it goes through the Board of Selectmen taking action in conjunction with the emergency management team and the health officer, and explaining to the public how our town hall foyer will be accessible for vehicle registrations and general business, but access inside the town hall building will be restricted to staff only. So there is an opportunity for people to continue to do registrations through the front doors, and there's sufficient separation between the public and the employees, and we're trying to conduct as much general business as we can. Things like the permitting for the building department is accomplished by calling the building office, building inspection office, building safety office, and making an appointment and coming down, and they'll help you with your permits. And, you know, it goes through, you know, fire and police, and, you know, it talks about public meetings, and it talks about the health officer. It talks about all of our website access and mailing addresses and drop boxes out front, telephone numbers, if you have questions about, you know, a variety of things. So it's quite a comprehensive guide, and it's got everybody's email addresses. So I just wanted to bring everybody's attention to go to the red banner, and you can find this on our website. The second thing that I generated on March 17th was a general update to just explain this in a kind of a you know, a condensed version here, and talked a little bit about you know, the police department and the highway department and the fire department and tax collector's office and so forth. So we'll continue to update. And then I did follow that up with another general update on March 23rd. Things that have changed since my previous update. Things are going to change, things will change, things are changing, and we will adapt accordingly. So that's pretty much, you know, just a general explanation of how we're conducting business, and, you know, the employees are coming to work. We haven't experienced any sickness per se, and we'll get into a little bit later on with the fire chief explaining about the procedures set in place for employees to enter into the building. There's a screening process, and he'll get into a screening process for callers for the public safety dispatch. So that pretty much concludes my second agenda item with the town hall modified procedures. And we have questions and answers here, and I know you have the questions, Pastor, so we'd be glad to try to answer some of those questions.
You know, first, a question that's not quite on that list there, but in terms of town hall procedures, if I'm one of those people, which I am, who waits till the very last day to register my car, so the end of the month's coming up next week, what might I expect? What's the best way for me to go about that besides getting it done tomorrow instead of waiting till the end of the month? What's the best thing I need to do?
Well, you know, I will say that our town clerk and deputy town clerk have made themselves accessible, and as far as I know, and you know, my office isn't too far away from the front doors. I see a few people that will be in line, but it's not a big line. There's a lot of people that are doing it online. Some people are doing it by mail, but the ones that, you know, wait till the last day or they have to have something done, they're encouraged to call the town clerk's office and make an appointment. But in the alternative, if they don't and they come to the door, they will be helped by somebody, and it really will be a transaction will be processed as it was before, with the exception that the town clerk is not able to take a credit card because of the physical separation of the people outside, and there's no credit card machine access in the lobby. So those transactions have to be conducted with either a check or cash.
Great.
So the answer is that we're open for business, and you can complete your transactions as you did before. It will be just a little bit of an inconvenience on if there's somebody waiting in line in front of you, but there's no lines down the street.
Sure. So recognizing that everybody's anxiety is a little bit high and we're a little more stressed than usual, but it seems like overall people are working well together to accomplish some things. Most places, I'm glad that that's happening here at Town Hall too. Maybe a few questions for us then. I think a lot of people think of safety and security first, but maybe we can push those questions towards the end of some of these questions and just talk maybe about personal finances some and about town finances then. So in regards to property taxes, what do people need to know about their property taxes?
Well, our tax collector is elected, and our tax collector and tax collector office is closed right now. But we're open for business, that is to receive the tax payments via the mail. And so if anybody wants to pay their taxes, they can just send it in by regular mail. And the postmark date is the date that we'll recognize it sent in. But the other issue about that is that we're not, the board has met and the board wants to be forgiving on any interest charges. So those interest charges are going to be waived during this time here. So there is no, rush that you have to make it down here by a date certain at this point. We ask that you send it in by regular mail and the envelopes will be opened. And that brings up a separate point. During this time here with mail, we quarantine all of our mail coming in for the whole week. And then over the weekend, that whole collection of mail from Monday through Thursday is left in a container over the weekend. And so this week's mail will not be opened until next Monday. Okay. And the reason for that is that we know somewhere between 48 and 72 hours, if there is a virus on the mail, that it will just die on its own. So that's another step that we've taken. So you need to just understand you're not going to get a rapid response if you send something in. There's going to be a little bit of a delay. So that's another precaution that we have taken. And to that end, our hours have just changed yesterday. So we're open 8 to 4. So we're starting a little bit later in the day, and we're closing a little bit earlier, and that allows people to get out of the office that usually stay later. And just to relieve a little bit of anxiety and stress for the workers and give them just a little bit of a shorter work day and relax them down and let them, come in a little bit later and go home a little bit.
So like a lot of other places of business are doing.
Yeah, and then the other part of that is that we made a decision based on the fire chief's recommendation. He brought up a good point about this 48 hours to 72 hours. So we wanted to sanitize this town hall. So we were only open for 4 hours on Fridays, 7 in the morning till 11. He made the suggestion, why not close down on Thursday at the close of business and leave town hall vacant for the remainder of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and not come in till Monday. So we took his suggestion, and I immediately instituted it starting this Thursday. And we've shut down our security system to stop anybody that has a fob access or a key access, and we have really taken strides that nobody, except for the fire department, if there was an emergency in the building, or the police department, that nobody's coming in this building for the weekend, just as another step for safety precautions for the employees.
Great. For the practical, for people who are experiencing unemployment, for people who are concerned all of a sudden, because they're out of work or the family situation changes dramatically. Any suggestions for folks on how to pay their bills, et cetera? Yes. So the state of New Hampshire has announced that they're going to waive some waiting periods for applying for unemployment benefits, and they understand the gravity of people that may be unemployed, not through any fault of their own. And so, I know what you know about that they're processing claims and they're trying to facilitate that. And to that end, maybe they even do it online. I don't know. And, I've been watching this stimulus bill, and, there's some additional things that are talked about in the stimulus bill to actually enhance the unemployment benefits over the next possibly 16 weeks.
So, that is evolving, and of course, the House of Representatives still has to see that stimulus bill, and the president has to sign it. So, there's latent breaking news on unemployment and other things. But it appears to me that the federal government, and through the stimulus bill, is thinking about making sure that the people will have what they need to pay their bills, both in April and May and even further out. Because they're also talking about a payment to people, one in April and one in May, for adults and for children. So this is happening right now while we're talking with the Senate and the House of Representatives and the President. So tomorrow we may in fact have the final version, and then we'll have to wait for the press to report the pieces in there. But my understanding is that there's provisions for sufficient unemployment benefits and people that have been furloughed, and to help small businesses and to help large businesses and to help even the states and the counties and the municipalities. I'm told that there's a $150 billion package in there for states, counties, and municipalities to try to help us with some of the losses we've sustained. And, there's one more point that to your previous question about, property taxes. Well, there was another question that was posed to me, so I'll follow up about the elderly, disabled exemptions and credits. And the Board of Selectmen has pushed that date out to May 15th for people to apply. And that may be pushed out again. Mm-hmm. So, we're being very sympathetic to people, and I think the Board of Selectmen will take whatever action to push things out to help the residents. The Board of Selectmen hasn't met since since March 16th. We don't even know what the next meeting will be, because we still have to try to formulate how we're going to conduct that meeting, because the 91A now has given us some latitude. We may be doing video conferencing. We may be doing it telephonically. So
it's been my day-to-day Zoom.
Yeah. So we're still working on it. And then one more thing is the Board of Selectmen would probably be taking a case by case to vote to extend any kind of deadline that somebody's been impacted on a case by case basis. So I know you've asked a couple questions there. So the welfare office is also available should somebody need assistance. That's available by just contacting us. That's on our website as well. And that we understand that most mortgage companies have waived some late interest fees and provided extensions, for people. So that's something that's still unfolding now. And I know the bill talks about some additional tax credits. So I'm anxious to see the actual bill in writing and to hear this reported, and I'm sure it will be reported on TV, and they'll list it in a nice format for us to understand everything. So
it's one of those things where there's things that are well beyond our control, and there's things that we are control, and waiting for federal things or understanding federal things, and then down to the town, and then down into our own individual homes is certainly it's a lot to be thinking about now. With concerns for elderly folks who maybe don't share information at the same rate of speed, or have some special needs, any suggestions for them?
Well, the first thing is that they need to contact somebody. So they need to contact somebody at the town hall, or they can contact the Public Safety Dispatch Center. Chief Mullen and Chief Knutson can speak to this a little bit later on, but they've made provisions for assistance like that. So I'll defer to them on what they've set up, but I know that you'll hear about the CERT team, and you'll hear about a coordinated effort between the fire and the police to assist people. All we can say is contact us, contact somebody, let somebody know what you need, and we'll work to accommodate your needs. If it's an elderly person that needs medicine, we can make arrangements for that, and if it's a necessity, we can make arrangements for that. So we haven't really experienced a high call volume for people needing things, but we're here to help them, and we've made preparations for that in case that happens.
Well, we got a great community that I think tries to look out for each other too. So
Yes.
As we're calling our neighbors and our friends and people we haven't seen or heard from in a little while, that takes a lot of that. But the more we have information about town resources, the more that can be shared with folks who maybe don't have the same rate of information there.
I'd like to just follow up, Aaron, on one thing. I should have probably said at the beginning of this. This is an event that something I've never seen before. I've got 40 years in, public service, and so doesn't the chief of police, and I know the fire chief has.
Yeah, we have 40
a
years
lot
of life, so that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's good.
but, this is an event that I haven't seen before. When we plan for emergencies, it's usually the ice storms, and it's the, it's some kind of a FEMA event or a flood, and, there's people stranded, and they don't have heat, and, this is a different event. This is a germ, a virus that, may infiltrate people with community travel or people visiting or contact, and it's an invisible thing. So it's quite different than somebody saying, there's a tree down and I don't have electricity and I don't have heat and I can't get out because of the snowstorm. This is one that we're just all forced to sort of self-isolate and just change the way our life is. And it's probably uncomfortable to do that, but, we're not traveling to large events. We're not going to groups. We're not going to restaurants because they're closed. Our contact has changed, and we're in our houses more. So it is quite a different event. Our emergency management, we're prepared for emergency management. We put everybody in a room, and we bring resources in, and we send resources out. This is different. We cannot send a resource out to fix this. This is something that we're sitting by waiting, and we're hoping that it just doesn't affect, people in New Hampshire and other places. We're all standing by and just not knowing to the extent that we're going to experience this here locally.
Yeah, I've been likening that to, listening to the weather forecasters, but for 3 or 4 weeks they say that there's going to be a massive snowstorm, but we know something's coming, but we don't know the extent of it and how it's going to affect us, and then are we going to be personally responsible for that? So that's
Correct.
why we flatten the curve now, as they like to say.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah. Specific to people sick in Rockingham County or Plaistow itself, what's real-time information for us?
I prepared that answer, and that's an answer that changes almost hourly or daily. So right now, the latest statistics is there's 108 people that are reported with the coronavirus in New Hampshire. And in Rockingham County, right now, there's 42. It does not give a location by town, it gives it by county. So there's a breakdown of the different numbers in each county, but right now it's 108. And of course, unfortunately, there's a family that lost somebody to this, so there's one death so far. We hope that there's no more, but that's a low percentage because we have 108 and there's one, so that's 1% or a little bit less than 1%. We'd certainly like to see that continue with a very, very low percentage or zero. So that's what I know now, and that changes. Our thought is to prevent this any way we can from growing. Rockingham County is very close to the Massachusetts line, the border, along with Hillsborough County, and half the population in the state of New Hampshire lives in those two counties. So I'm not surprised that the numbers are a little bit higher in Rockingham County, but we're hoping it just doesn't grow.
Sure. If we can flip back into the town and the economics of the town anyway, what do people need to know about how the town is maintaining its own budget and operating?
Right. We have a cash flow during the course of the year where we collect taxes twice a year. So our reserves run down, and we usually experience in the May-June area of our reserves running down before we start receiving payments for taxes. And then subsequently it happens in November, before the December tax bill. So this stimulus package that is in the process right now has ingredients in it that is going to probably take care of the people's apprehension about how do I pay my mortgage or how do I pay my rent, because they're going to roll out the money to people with this stimulus package rather quickly. And I think that the whole plan is to make sure that people don't miss a paycheck, and people that are out of work get their unemployment benefits, and then that's enhanced with other unemployment benefits. I really think that the stimulus package is designed to get the cash into people's hands so that the economy just keeps on going and people can pay their bills. I think that was more of an unknown 10 days ago.
Sure.
This stimulus package seems to have been designed to help people pay their bills. So that's one aspect of it. The second part of it is the town has a tax anticipation note agreement with a bank, and right now we have a $2.5 million, so we can access that much like you can for your home equity line of credit. We are inquiring now with that bank to see if we can increase our limit, should we need to. I think that the odds are very good that we could. So the answer is that if we ran into a problem, we're going to continue to pay our bills, and we would do it through some additional borrowing, which would be short-term, and then we would recover once the funds come back in through the tax payments.
So the town's looking ahead at all options, just like we all are in our own
Yes.
homes. Then,
Yes.
like, yeah. Since we have these fine gentlemen with their badges here, maybe we can hear some from them and understand more about their services offered. We can see that your vehicles and your police officers and firefighters and EMTs are out rolling regularly. What do we need to hear? Maybe we can start with you, Chief Mullen.
Well, it's business as usual. Community's safe. We have our guys out there. Our procedures have changed for the safety of our public and our individual offices. We're open 24/7. Procedure coming to the PD is changed. We require or asking if it's on a business-related issue, please call first, and we'll give you instructions whether to come down or we can handle it on the phone. If they need to talk to a person, they can respond to the police department. The front door is open 24/7 into our foyer area. They can make contact via intercom with our dispatch center, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they will be instructed, to whatever needs they need. Payment can be made. We'd rather any type of payment to the police department be done by mail. And as far as calls for service, we're responding. You might see the officers, depending on the call, maintaining a safe distance. They'll probably be asking the callers to exit the home if possible. If we have to enter the home, all the officers have been equipped with a kit, personal protection equipment, which would be suit, face mask. They'll have N95 mask. And if we have to enter, all the people will be screened to ask them various questions, whether running a fever, if there have been large crowds, traveled abroad, so on and so forth. But we're coming, and we're safe. If there's any questions, they can call. So don't be alarmed if we do respond and there's a minute or two delay. If we have to enter the home, because they're going to have to don equipment. So there might be a minute or two, and they'll be putting that on prior to entering the home. All the guys have been instructed. We have hand sanitizers in all the cruisers, safety kits in all the cruisers, and we're just doing business as usual. Nothing has really changed down there other than we would really appreciate a phone call first before you come, and then we can handle it that way. But business as usual, community is safe, everybody's doing a great job out there.
I'm just curious here, with fewer vehicles on the roads, are you having fewer incidents to respond to traffic-wise, or not yet?
Well, it is, and you can see the difference. As we're out there in the community, see the traffic flow is down, which is fantastic, but we still are enforcing, our motor vehicle laws out there. If one of our residents get pulled over, the procedure will be a little bit different. We're going to ask them to only roll down their window, an inch or so. We'll ask them to show the license through the window. There'll be no direct contact. Same with the registration. We'll get the information that way, and business as usual. And so it's just going to be a little different. Just bear with us until we get through this thing. But it's for the people's safety and ours, and all of our members coming into our station at shift change is screened prior to coming into the building, checking for all the items I spoke about earlier. And so we are protecting our guys, because we're a small force, and If we lose 1 or 2 guys, we've lost a large percentage. And I've been working with the fire chief, and we've kind of separated because we're kind of segregated now because police and fire are under one roof. And so we're just trying to keep separation so, one person doesn't infect the whole safety complex.
Sure.
So,
Well, thanks for that reassurance. Glad that you've thought through that for your crew, and we appreciate them around the town. Thank you.
yep, happy to do it.
And Chief Knutson, what's important for the town to know from your end of the building?
So as this unprecedented event has started progressing, one of the first things that we did was wanted to restrict access to our public safety building to keep our responders safe and to protect that critical infrastructure for the community. So you could still come to our building, but you're not going to get past the front lobby. And any correspondence or interaction will occur through a window in our front lobby. Kind of it's the same procedures that the police department have implemented. We ask that maybe you call first before you come to see if there's something that we could handle over the telephone. One of the changes that we've implemented, that we have one of the highest level of public interaction that we deal with on a daily basis is the issuance of burn permits. So we have moved that process to an online platform. You could go to Plaistow.com, click on the fire department link, and then click on the burn permitting process there. And if you're trying to renew a burn permit, you could do it all online. You don't have to come in. And that's actually a system that we're going to continue to maintain even after this for a convenience of our customers. Mm-hmm. So they don't have to come in for that. That's just going to be for renewals. If you've never had a burn permit before, then you'd have to follow the process, call us, we'll have to come out and inspect it and look and such of that nature. Second to that, we wanted to make sure that our employees were staying healthy and safe. Like Chief Bullen talked about, we don't want someone that's within our organization accidentally bringing the virus internally to one of our buildings and spreading it through our staff. So and this is actually town-wide. Every department within the town goes through a screening process every single day. So at the fire department, every day when our guys begin a shift, they come in and they have to be screened. We have a defined screening process on paper that they have to pass before they're allowed to continue into the building and continue to cover the shift. And some of the questions is making sure they've been fever-free for 24 hours. They're not taking any medication to suppress a fever. That no one in their household is tested positive, or they've not been around anybody that's tested positive for COVID-19, or if they have a cough or shortness of breath. And then with that, they get their temperature taken. And if they have anything other than a normal body temperature, they go back home or go back to a quarantine safe area until we could eliminate the fact that they're not contagious. Because again, we're trying to protect that critical infrastructure that the community needs. Some other steps that we've done is I want to make sure that the members of the community understands that our staff is standing ready to serve the community. This is not going to prevent us from answering any calls of service that you might have, from a medical emergency to a fire alarm sounding to a motor vehicle accident. You're going to get the same level of response that you always get. Our members have attended additional training on this virus over the last month and a half, so they better understand how the virus migrates from person to person or transmitted, and what personal protective equipment that they need to wear. We have a comprehensive set of personal protective equipment available for our staff that they're going to wear if the call dictates that they need to take extra precautions. So we have something as simple as a face mask, the eye protection, the gloves, to hospital gowns, to N95 respirators that they will put on to protect themselves. What goes along with that is early warning or early notification to our responders that they might need to take extra precautions, because just like everywhere else in the country, those supplies are not unlimited. So we kind of have to make sure that we're using them when we need to, but we're just not, putting all that stuff on for every single call of service that might come across our department. So it's important when you call 911, you're going to be screened with several questions. And those questions are not just related to the patient themselves. We want to know if anybody in the household or in the building has the same symptoms, because we could be answering a call for maybe someone that fell, but they don't tell us that their brother, sister, husband, wife has got these symptoms. So it's important that we know the answers to these. So some of these questions that you're going to be asked is, does the patient or anyone in the household have a fever or respiratory symptoms such as shortness of breath, wheezing, or congestion? Does the patient or anyone in the household have flu-like symptoms or have contact with someone with flu-like symptoms? Has the patient or anyone in the household traveled outside the United States within the last 14 days? Has the patient or anyone in the household been around large crowds? Has the patient or anyone in the household been in contact with someone that is suspected or confirmed of having the coronavirus? Is the patient or anyone in the household a healthcare worker? So as you answer those questions, we humbly ask that you be truthful with those answers. It is not going to stop us from providing a service to you. We are still going to come, but our responders on the way could start donning some of that equipment to speed things up when they get there. Be expected that when we arrive, you're probably going to get those same questions asked again as we enter the building or enter the property, just to make sure of the that we have some accountability to make sure that the questions were asked and that they were answered appropriately. And if the answer is a yes to any of those, like I said, we're still going to provide service. We're just going to be putting on a little bit extra protection to make sure that we don't accidentally bring the virus back to our department or spread it amongst our members. And then obviously after a call, they've been instructed and taught how to properly decon equipment, including themselves, to make sure that we maintain a sterile environment. Other than that, I don't think there's many other changes, but we are ready. We are prepared. We have actually, I got one more change, that we have increased our staffing level to 24 hours. We've done that for a couple of reasons. One, to limit personnel exposure to calls, to where a certain set of people are responding to the calls, so we could kind of have some accountability. And to assure that we always have people available to answer those calls. If our transport ambulance service is on another call, we have people there to utilize our rescue unit to transport a patient if we need to. So that's another change that you've seen. Typically after 6 p.m. at night to 6 a.m. in the morning, we didn't have staffing at the public safety complex. What we do now, and we're going to maintain that readiness until this event is over.
Great. Thank you. So it sounds like the big takeaway there for the public is if there's an emergency or something else and 911 is called, to be ready to answer, even if there's a stressful situation going on in the house, to be ready to answer those questions about the precautions for your crews, so that they know how to best enter, or if they have to enter. So it's going to be a little extra step in there, but that's for everybody's safety.
And that extra step should not slow our response
Sure.
time down. They will, once they get the information they need, the address, what type of call it is, they are notifying us to let us start that response. So as we're driving to that calls while they're going to be asking those questions, and then they update us as we get there.
Great.
Yeah.
And I would just like to touch on one thing that the town manager spoke of. We have a CERT team, Citizens Emergency Response Team. They're basically on call at this point. They can all provide different hours. So if we have any people in need in the community, elderly that need prescription, food, if they have any type of need, they can contact our dispatch center. We can get a hold of the CERT team members. If they're not available, I have units on the street that we can assist. So please call if you're in need.
Thank you. And those CERT team folks are well-trained, and they like
They
like to be able to serve.
And that's what they're there for. It's all volunteer work, and they love serving the community.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen. Presentations, right? Are there presentations to view, or is
Well,
that just to share, like we spoke?
Well, just want to bring up one point, and I kind of saved it for the end, actually the last 2 points. We've been in contact with the state, and, the state prides itself on its preparedness, and there is a ranking of states as far as being prepared, And New Hampshire is the fourth most aggressive state in the COVID-19 response. That's not something that we make up ourselves. That's somebody else that categorizes all of the states, and we're number 4. So we can still improve to try to get that number 1 spot, but I will tell you, it's been my past experience and my current experience, it has to do with planning, planning, planning. And I think New Hampshire has done a good job with that, and I think New Hampshire will continue to do a good job with that. I've been contacted by Senator Morse, who is a senator for this district, and he has personally called me almost daily, and he's inquired if there's anything that we need. You know, he's advocating for us. He's always advocated for us. If we need something, we'll let him know. And he's in close contact with other town managers and other police chiefs, and he's going to continue to check in with us. So, you know, I just want everybody to know we have many people. Our health officer is in contact daily and maybe even hourly, remotely, with Department of Health and Human Services, and our emergency management team is in touch with emergency management, and I'm in touch with various people. You know, we can never be too prepared, and that's what we're trying to do here is tell everybody that we're prepared, and you know, if you need something, to contact us. And my last point on the agenda was this COVID-19 tracker, you know, COVID-19 tracker. If you have a chance to go onto the website and to pull up this site, this is the site. I probably have 20 or 30 sites that I'm looking at any one time. And this site here, I actually like the best because it does the world view, and then you can go on to, you know, any country, and then they break down the country, and they can even break down, you know, the cities in the country, and, you know, you can go to the United States and go to any state and go to any county, and it gives you the most up-to-date information with the numbers. What I'm really looking at is the recovery rate, and I'm looking at the timing of the recovery rate with this so-called curve, because, you know, we're on an upward trajectory now with people, you know, catching this, and then there's a period of time before people recover. And I'm looking at when that so-called, you know, changes direction and plateaus, and then we have recovery. So I'm constantly looking at the recovery numbers on that site because I'm trying to calculate where we are in that process. And, you know, I don't think anybody knows exactly, but we're all hoping for the numbers we're hoping for the curve to stop. I will tell you, going back to the source, Weihua, China, that they have no new cases, that over 73,000 people have recovered out of the 81,000 that contracted it. Unfortunately, there was there's still 3,000 or 4,000 people that haven't fully recovered, and unfortunately, there was some people that died from this. But, you know, 73,000 out of 81,000 recovered. Now, that's what I want to see happen in the state of Washington and the state of California and the city and the state of New York and New Hampshire is when is that going to, you know, stop climbing? When is it going to, people going to start recovering? Because that's, you know, unfortunately, the ones that get it, they have to deal with it and they have to recover. So you check out that website and it will give you more up-to-date information. Go to our website, up in the icon that says about COVID-19. Our health officer, Denise Horax, has done a great job with listing the CDC website, the infectious control website, and, you know, all the various things. And, you know, you can just keep on connecting. You know, it's right up on the screen right there. It's up in the right-hand corner. And then you can go to, you know, you know, any part of the health department and just use our website to get to where you need to go.
Great. Thank you. You know, I'm reminded that this is new for everybody. You know, none of us have been here before. We don't know how to operate our homes with the virus. We don't know how to operate our departments, our town, all that, and still we don't know how to operate ourselves necessarily. You know, either. I know. You know, we're fortunate. We're blessed in America. We have a lot of beautiful things, and, you know, first our entertainment and our sports and our luxury cruises got taken away, and then, you know, some of our travel, and then some more personal restrictions have come in, and some real dramatic changes, and eventually I think people have to at some point they get reduced to having to sit within themselves And we don't have those binkies or those pacifiers to distract us as much anymore. And while we're sitting within ourselves, some people are really well equipped to do that, and some people aren't. I'm certainly mindful of people with substance misuse issues and people with mental health as well as physical health, that isolation can be really problematic for those folks. So to encourage our community to, at a distance, reach out and express terms of care in real ways is something, of course, I think we're all in favor of. Thank you, Town Manager Pearson and Chief Knutson and Chief Mullen for being here to talk and share tonight. Not sure if this will be a regular or reoccurring thing. Thank you to Dean as well, operating all the equipment, and thank you, community, for being a great community. And we'll chat again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.